Home sales jumped 11.3% between March and April as the Canadian real estate market picked up again. But the Canadian Real Estate Association says the number of homes sold last month was down 19.5% from last year's levels to just over 44,000. CREA reports that supply is still at a 20-year low, and the average price of a home fell 3.9% from April of last year. Joining us now to tell us more about the state of Canada's real estate market is Mr. Shaun Cathcart, Senior Economist at the Canadian Real Estate Association. Mr. Cathcart, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Thanks for having me back.
So as we mentioned, your latest release highlights an 11.3% pickup in sales. What markets in particular have been seeing this increase in activity?
Over the last few months, it's really been Toronto, Vancouver leading the way a little bit. But I think more generally, I'd say we're seeing it all over the place. It's not as if anywhere is not showing this kind of, on some level, behavior. And in particular, that April gain, go back 20 years, there's only a couple other times coming out of COVID and coming out of the financial crisis that we saw an increase bigger than that. So, it's really all markets are sort of pulling in the same direction and subject to the same sort of influences right now.
Sounds like some good news when it comes to market activity. Now, what were found to be the main causes behind this increase in sales?
So we've had this rebound baked into our forecast since last year. And what I've been writing in that all along is it's only a matter of timing that was in question about when it would happen. Would we miss the spring market and then 2023 is a bit of a dud year, or does it kick off the way it just did? And the two milestones that I had identified back then was the Bank of Canada has to make it clear to consumers generally, not just to analysts like us, that they're done raising rates or almost done, that they're not going to do another 400 basis points and put you out on the street if you go and take a mortgage right now. And the second one was home prices have to stop falling because people waiting on the fence thinking maybe we'll jump in do not want to buy a house that is worth $25,000 less by the time they get the keys, right? And so we hit that last milestone last month with home prices stopping falling on a month-over-month basis. And we saw people after the Easter weekend just come flooding into the market. I expect even bigger numbers in May.
All right. Now, since we're talking about home prices, let's unpack a little bit about that. So as you mentioned, some do believe that home prices may have bottomed out in recent months, but others, like the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, now they're predicting some more declines in terms of year-over-year home prices in 2023. Can you tell us a little bit more about where CREA stands when it comes to prices in particular?
Sure, I guess it depends on how you want to measure that. Like, will there be more year-over-year declines going forward? For sure. We are not going to get back to where we were a year ago in the space of a few months. But typically, when you talk about a bottom, you'd be talking about month to month. So what was the lowest point? If you're looking at the average home price, we hit that in January, and we're already up over $100,000 above that. Now, that's mostly because there's a lot more expensive sales happening once again in Toronto and Vancouver, which drives up the average. But it's also as of last month because prices of actual homes are rising again. And so if you measure it by the MLS Home Price Index, which is our index, which is really the best measure, the bottom was basically February, March, and we're now heading back up. And that, home prices being up 1.6% month over month from March to April, that's a big increase. That's not a little green shoot here. That's like, other than the pandemic, there's not a lot stronger than that. So I think it's really taken off again.
All right. Now, in terms of supply, we mentioned that it's at a 20-year low. How do you see this impacting prices and sales in the near future?
Well, it's weird. New listings every month really fell off a cliff starting last fall. They weren't very low 6 months ago, but they really just fell off. I don't know if that's because people said, this isn't a great time to buy. And so the hope would be that now they're going to look and say, oh, it is, a good time to sell. That is, the hope would be that some of them go, oh, maybe it is now. Certainly homes are selling way faster. We're actually getting really close to where I think that listings are going to start to have an offer day on them again because they're going to be expecting multiple offers. So the real challenge, though, for a seller is not to sell your home. It's where you're going to move to. Existing owners need to find somewhere else to move to first. I think a lot of them jumped off the fence in late April. And I'm seeing in the first 2 weeks of May, and this is a positive sign, new listings finally picking up, which is, so you can imagine the move-up buyer who jumps into the market in April and finally grabs that big detached home because they got teenagers now and all the rest of it. Well, right now, they're listing that bungalow for sale, and now somebody else can buy that. and then maybe that buyer has a townhome, and then they list that. And so that's where you get that sort of virtuous circle as this moves forward throughout the year, that hopefully in the end of it all, frees up some sort of starter home type homes for first-time buyers as well.
All right, sounds like things are going to continue to pick up. Mr. Cathcart, thank you again for joining us today on Forum Daily.
My pleasure.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.